Hello, ladies and gentlemen and non-binary friends. Let's ask Reddit, what everyday activity did you do wrong for years before someone finally showed you an important trick? Emotional processing. If I was sad, I'd let myself be sad for a tiny bit and then brush it off, saying, I don't have time for this, or I'm stronger than this, or crying does no good. Then anger and frustration would build up until arguments over nothing would happen. I was shown how to make space for those negative emotions and just feel them until they quieted on their own. Been doing that every time they show up, and the anger and frustration is gone. Most of the anxiety is gone too. Did it with fears too, which is making a huge difference in relationships. It's a good thing too. Old me wouldn't be able to handle half the shit that current me is shouldering. You and me both. Growing up, maturing, handling your shit. That's what we're doing. If you're mounting something to the wall that has pre-designed holes in the back, rather than measure between the holes and try to space the nails/screws accordingly, stretch a single piece of painter's tape, blue tape, across the back of the piece from just before the beginning of the first hole to just after the last one. Mark each hole with a pencil/pen on the painter's tape, then place the tape on the wall and voila! You have a perfect mounting template. I suggest you do a quick check with a laser level on the wall just to make sure your marks are level before drilling. If you know you're supposed to do something simple, take out the trash, clean your room, etc., but you just can't find the motivation, stop. Decide what you want to get done. It has to be something you can do as a single action. Decide how you would feel if you completed it. Relieved, content, happy, etc. Ask yourself how long you're willing to go without that feeling. A day, an hour, 5 minutes, etc. Now you aren't dreading doing the thing. You're asking yourself why you're denying yourself the feeling you want to feel. Hell yes. Positive emotions, good reinforcement, love that. Opening a beverage can. I keep my fingernails very short and sometimes it would be a bit finicky to open the tab on a can. I was damn near 40 years old when my buddy showed me you're supposed to push down on the hinge portion of the tab with your thumb to raise the other edge of the tab so you can get your finger under it. I felt like an idiot. My aunt is a physical therapist. She said that if people did simply one teeny tiny change in the way they walk, older people would be in better health. That oh-so-simple thing is just walking up steps by placing your whole foot on the step and keeping your heel on the ground with each step, as opposed to having your heel hang off the step. That's it. Requires zero additional effort, just changes the way you walk upstairs. What it does is increase hamstring strength. You already have enough thigh strength from general walking. The amount of older people she sees every day with weak hamstrings is wild. As someone in their mid-30s, I could definitely take this advice to heart. Taking the safety cap off of deodorant. I used to try to get my fingernails under it and pop it off. They were quite a pain in the ass to get off. In my late 20s, my roommate was talking to me while unpacking her groceries, and she opened her deodorant and just twisted up the stick so that the cap came off. I was shocked. Not an everyday activity, but someone showed me I've been wasting celery for years. When it goes limp and loses its crunch, you can just soak it in water overnight, and it makes it crisp again. And the buffalo wing lovers rejoiced. Tying my shoes. Watched a TED Talk about it and learned that I'd been doing it wrong for decades. Haven't had a shoe come untied since, and no more need for double knots. Or, do like your boy, and just buy slip-ons. Checker Vans till I die, baby. I was using my dishwasher wrong, and you probably are too. Don't pre-rinse your dishes in the sink. It's not necessary if you use your dishwasher correctly, and it wastes water. Scrape off big chunks of food, but you don't need to remove residue. Do run the hot water in the sink until it's hot before starting the dishwasher. Don't use pods. Liquid detergent is better. Powdered is best. Do use both the pre-rinse and the main cycle cups. The critical part that most people are doing wrong. And do use rinse aid. Alright, I think I might have to switch to powdered after this and see what happens. I always slouched when I sat. Always had lower back pain. I learned the pain is usually caused by slouching. I made an effort to keep my back straight even if I'm sitting on a bench or a ledge. It's uncomfortable at first, but you get used to it. No more back pain. I used to read in bed, suffered bouts of insomnia, and I couldn't figure out why. Read somewhere to only use a bed for sleeping. Also to keep the bed nicely folded and ready, so you want to lay on it when you see it. Now I sleep too much. You're supposed to eat sushi with your hands. Hey, 3-for-1 bonus. Also, with slouching, I know I have a horrible problem with my posture. It's hard. It sucks. And yeah, sushi with your hands. Even the messy stuff. Napkins were invented for a reason. Those tiny obnoxious cans of tomato paste. You can take both ends off of the can opener and use a wooden spoon to push on the top. It comes out clean like a push pop. Nowadays I just stick to the tubes. They're able to go in the refrigerator and I can keep them for longer. But if I come across a can, I'm definitely trying that out. Tomato push pop. I just remember that one dude being told you could wait for the shower to warm up instead of having to stand in it cold as it warms up, Lamau. Yeah, I figured that out a little later than I probably should have, somewhere in my teens. I used to open a banana by pulling the top. Then I saw some documentary with monkeys opening them for the bottom, and it's 10 times easier. I also learned that I'm more stupid than a monkey that day. Hey, that's how we've always seen it done by other humans. Sometimes we have to look to our ancestors for the true answers. Cut bell peppers. For years I did it in a messy way where it got seeds everywhere. Then one day I decided that there was probably a better way, so I watched YouTube. What you do is you cut the top and bottom off first, pull the seeds out in one piece, then cut down the sides and unroll it like paper. Then you cut the unrolled piece into strips. Yeah, same thing goes for all types of vegetables when you're prepping them. Learn from the masters. You're not supposed to rinse after brushing your teeth. You're supposed to allow toothpaste residue to sit on your teeth for like 30 minutes. You just spit and move on. Don't rinse your mouth with water. Nope, not happening. That is not a good sensory feeling. You can forget about it. Sprinkle some salt in your cocktail napkin to prevent it from sticking to the bottom of your glass every time you raise the glass. Heck yeah, baby! Every time I got my Roy Rogers, I gotta sprinkle that napkin. Control, Shift, Escape. That is the one you want, not Control, Alt, Delete. Yes, save yourself a little bit of time and get directly to the task manager. Today's tip from your friendly neighborhood nerd. I never knew you were supposed to toast Pop-Tarts. Only learned that a year ago. Yes, toaster pastries. Why would I ever toast that? Also, have you ever tried them in the freezer? You gotta do it once. Not every day for everyone, but it was every cashier at my job. We had a cigarette case at the self-checkout that we could unlock and get packs out of for customers, so we didn't have to walk all the way to the big register to get them every time. Restocking them was a pain in the ass, one pack at a time, pushing the little spring loader thing back with each one, squeezing them in next to each other. We did this way for years. It was how I'd been shown how to restock them. 7 years, at least. Then one day, I was pulling the price tags off the shelf to change them out, and one was a little stubborn. I gave it a little yank upwards, and suddenly, the entire shelf slid right out on rollers. The way my jaw dropped. I actually think I swore out loud. It was so much easier to restock them. I ended up showing every single one of the other self-checkout cashiers, and every single one was blown away. Even the ones who'd been there way longer than me. None of us knew the shelves pulled out. Not even the manager. She actually said, "Are you fucking kidding me?" when I showed her. I can't believe we all went that freaking long without knowing the shelves pulled out. Years of stocking those things one pack at a time. Then again, if we'd been using it, probably would have been broken like everything else in that place. If you've made it this far, please consider hitting like and subscribe. That really does help out the channel, and we hope you have a good one. Brushing my hair. No one taught me how to do it right because I'd always had short hair as a kid, and my mom somehow got the impression I knew to brush the ends first, then work up to the roots. Nope. Started at the top and would rip down. No wonder my hair was so bad. But then I saw Tangled as an adult and realized I'd been brushing my hair wrong the entire time. As a long-haired hippie guy, I can definitely attest to that. You gotta start at the ends and work your way up. It's bad the other way around. I used to have the worst time putting eye drops in as I would hover and try to drop right on the eyeball. A doctor told me to just drop it on the side of my nose and it would find its way to my eye because of, gravity. I was 28 when I found out that if you want to drink Capri Sun, you should bash the straw through the bottom instead of that annoying white part you're supposed to pierce. Do keep in mind it won't be able to stand when half full, though. Since when has anybody over the age of 12 not finished a Capri Sun in nearly one go? I mean, come on, people. When I first started masturbation, I did it with both hands, with my index fingers and middle fingers in a diamond shape. It wasn't until later I was corrected. Anybody out there, try this. Make diamonds with your index and middle fingers. Not a whole lot of space, is it? If you know what I mean. For years, I thought I didn't like toast. It turns out I just don't like very well toasted dark toast, like the rest of my family. My partner also showed me that you can scrape the dark bits off and it's light underneath. Opening a wine bottle with a screw cap. I always used to hold the bottom part of the screw cap, which stays around the neck of the bottle, and try to twist the top part off of it. Sometimes this made it a bit difficult to open. It took me way too long to realize that if you hold the wine bottle at the bottom and twist the whole screw cap, top and bottom part, the top part removes itself. Totally inconsequential, but I played pool left-handed for years until someone asked me why I was holding the stick backward. It turns out that's the only activity I can do ambidextrous. Oh, I'm pretty sure there's a stranger that can attest otherwise. Cleaning a frying pan with burnt grease. If you put it back on the stove while it's still hot with a little bit of water, it'll boil the grease loose. It makes it much easier to clean that way. Scrub it right after you pour the boiling water out and before you use soap. Don't use soap in the pan while it's on the stove, or it'll cause a chemical reaction and you will get particles in the pan, which can make it potentially unsafe to cook in after, especially depending on the soap. I still, even after doing this, put the dishes through an antibacterial cycle in the dishwasher, though. Too many years in kitchens, I guess, lol. Hope it helps. I used to use skewers wrapped in toilet paper to clean my ears, until my friend introduced me to Q-tips. My doctor says it's too late, though. One more time for the folks in the back? Not me, but my wife. For years, she drove an hour and 15 minutes each way to the university where she eventually got her PhD. The day of her graduation, I drove the both of us, taking a route through the country that I'd known since high school. No towns, only a couple stop signs, no highways under perpetual construction. We got there in 45 minutes flat. She was flabbergasted. I mean, yeah, of course. The scenic route being the short way around? Do not add salt to eggs before you scramble them. That's why they're watery. To learn the very best way to do scrambled eggs, go Google Gordon Ramsay scrambled eggs. Life changer. Oh, and when he talks about creme fraiche, just use sour cream. Opening serrated roll dispensers left-handed. Like many things, I used to never really care which hand I'd use to hold the box and which hand I'd pull the sheet of plastic wrap or foil with, and a good percentage of the time the wrap would fail to cut properly and tear at off angles and shred. Sometimes it would tear fine. I eventually figured out that some, not all, of these boxes were sharp in one direction, and if I held the box in my right and pulled the sheet with my left, it would tear right every time. Also, most of these boxes have tabs on the ends which you can push in to keep the roll from pulling out. Pinching the edge of a record to get it out of the sleeve. That's how you get noise in the beginning of every record. Proper way is to hold the sleeve horizontal and slide the record out onto your hand so that the ends of your fingers are on the label and the edge of the record is in the crook of your thumb and palm. If you don't feel confident sliding the record out, you can bow the sleeve slightly and reach it until the tips of your fingers are on the label. With vinyl and stuff being very more popular nowadays, might as well take these tips to heart. Someone told me I used chopsticks wrong. I put the second one on the side of my ring finger with my index and middle fingers on top of it. The person told me just hold it like I would hold a pen. And I was like, what the fuck? This is how I hold a pen. Then I realized I hold a pen differently from most people. I've since retrained myself to hold chopsticks properly, but I'm not even going to try to change how I write because it's so ingrained deeply, and also doesn't really matter anyway. I struggled taking the membrane off of baby back ribs for years. One day, someone told me to just use a paper towel and you'll get a perfect grip on it. Shit changed my life. I want my handy tips, handy tips, handy tips. I want my tips for making those ribs. Not making a joke when someone gives you a compliment. I've learned to say, thank you, that's nice to hear. Game changer for me. As someone who has struggled with a lot of issues, I can definitely attest to that. Just take the compliment, dudes. Juicing oranges. I used to cut them in half and press them down hard on my forehead and admittedly protruding eyeball. Push and twist until I got enough for a spoonful or two. Burned like hell, but I thought it was the only way. Then I was watching this infomercial one night where this quack doctor had invented a juicer, and it changed my life right then and there. It's a Simpsons reference, everybody! Hey! Someone's seen The Simpsons 25 years ago! I don't remember how I figured it out, but I learned how much easier it is to put pillowcases on by turning them inside out, putting my hands inside the corners of the pillowcases to grab the pillows and pull them into the case. My boyfriend taught me that the tag on the sheets goes in the lower left corner. No more trying to figure out if I have it on the right way by trial and error. You've also got some manufacturers that put top/bottom on the top and bottom of the sheets. We salute you. Cutting a pizza properly. I always held those curved pizza cutters the way they fit in your hand until I got a job at a pizzeria. There, I learned holding it in a fist and perpendicular to the pizza gives you a ton more force for perfect and fast cuts every time. Slap the bottom of those restaurant glass ketchup bottles. A friend took it from me and used a butter knife to scrape it out. My mind was blown. Shredding cooked chicken with my fingers or with forks. It can be unpleasant if the chicken is still hot. Instead, use a KitchenAid mixer using the white paddle. It'll shred chicken nicely in 10 seconds. Ah yes, the luxury of owning a $400+ appliance. I held a guitar pick pinched between thumb and forefinger like it's a chip to dip. You actually curl your forefinger, put the pick on the part between the first and second joints, and your thumb comes down on the top. Yeah, sure, but I've done it for so long I can't change now. I'm an old man, damn it. Plunging toilets. A plumber showed me how to do it with fast, short strokes. Life-changing. Reminds me of my teenage years. Don't use anything but a dry lens cloth to gently clean a TV screen. Fluids like Windex or even distilled water will ruin your screen. That is true for most all TVs, unless you've got a glass screen like a plasma or one of those old mofos. You can do whatever the hell you wanted with those things. I worked a 9-to-5 job for years and never got the respect I felt I deserved. Then I was shown how to aggressively borrow from banks. I haven't worked a day since. I have plenty of respect for my associates, I travel a lot, and make much more money. Hey, wait a second! Hey, thanks for joining me on this one. If you have any stories that you want me to read, leave them in the comments down below. Also, suggest some of your favorite subreddits so I can read stories from. Would love to jump into that. So until next time, take it easy.